all along. My true mentor. My guiding moonlight.
The Moonlight Greatsword is one of the most iconic and famous weapons when it comes to the Dark Souls franchise and just any FromSoft game in general. And that is no different in Elden Ring as well. Today we're going to be going over a complete guide, start to finish, all the steps in between on how to get this iconic weapon, showing you all the steps you need to take in order to get there, so that way you can get your hands on this beauty of a weapon. Just before we do get too into it, just want to go over a brief overview of the weapon. Comes with 82 physical plus 17 damage, 98 to 39 magic damage. Has D scaling for strength and dexterity, the C scaling for intelligence, and the passive effect is it causes frost buildup. Attribute requirements to use the special ability on this weapon. The main one will be that 38 intelligence that will be holding a lot of people back, but just wanted to go over this before we do get too far into the guide. That being said, let's get into it. So before we get too far into it, I do just want to point out that I will leave links to all of the locations I talk about down below, just in case you need to see exactly where they are on the map or see any more detail on them. But the very first place you're going to want to go for this quest will be to make your way up to this grace I am at right now, the main Caria Manor Gate. And essentially what you're going to want to do is make your way through this, and after killing the boss at the end of this area, you will get access into the Three Sisters area. And this will be the Three Sisters area that you do make it to eventually. You can see these three towers over here: Sullivan's Rise, Ronnie's Rise, and Rena's Rise. What you're going to want to do is go ahead and make your way to this middle one, Ronnie's Rise, and go ahead and make your way up to the very top of Ronnie's Rise. Once you do make your way up to the top of Ronnie's Rise, you will actually see Ronnie sitting here on a chair. It's actually the blue kind of female character that we saw from one of the trailers, actually, with the big witch-looking hat. That's essentially who Ronnie is. And she will pretty much ask you to enter into her service, which you are going to want to accept. After you enter into her service, she's going to tell you to speak to three of her other, I guess, servants, I guess you could call them, workers, whatever they might be. And those characters will actually be down below where we just came from, down below in Ronnie's Rise. And once we get down into this area, we can see the ghost of a large blacksmith sitting right here. Talk to him a couple times, exhaust his dialogue options. And then what you're going to want to do is make your way down here and talk to the other ghost that will be right here. That should be the character named Blythe. He's going to ask you to go meet him at a specific location, which you actually don't need to do. Essentially, once you leave here, if you find the blacksmith out in the world, he'll tell you not to worry about Blythe and to just, not worry about meeting him. But he's going to ask you to go meet him in an aqueduct area. We will need to go there at some point, but eventually you can just skip over it for now. And essentially, just skip on to the next part of the quest where you would meet after that. The last character will be Sullivan. He will be actually standing right here, and you will just talk to him, and he will ask you to enter in his service as well. He kind of has a side quest going with him. But essentially, after you talk to these three characters, you are actually done in this area, and we can progress on to the next step. So for the next step of the quest, you will want to go ahead and make your way all the way to almost the exact catacorner end of the map to this impassable Great Bridge side of Grace. And essentially what's going to happen is once you get here, there will be a portal right at the end of the bridge, and it will actually teleport you inside of the castle here. So once you take this, you will just be teleported inside. There won't be any enemies attacking you. And there will be a side of Grace where you can rest at and prepare for the mayhem that is about to occur. So now that we have made it to the chamber outside of the plaza side of Grace, what you're going to want to do is walk into this little courtyard area. You can go ahead and Blythe will be standing right here by the fire. You can go ahead and talk to him, exhaust his dialogue options, and you will see all these ghosts, as well as if you have freed Alexander, the big pot, from the hole in the ground that he was stuck in, he will be standing right here as well. And essentially what you'll want to do is run up these stairs and talk to this speaker that is right here. Essentially, he will start a cutscene that kind of shows you the preview of the boss that you will be fighting. Once you talk to him, what you're going to want to do is make your way into this area and take the elevator down to where you will fight the boss. So once you make your way to this area, essentially this door will be open and then there will be an opening on the right side. You take the elevator down and there will be a teleporter with the site of America, and it will essentially take you into this desert area that we are seeing right here. Now, just a warning, this boss is arguably one of the hardest bosses in the game and will more than likely be the hardest part of this entire quest. So take your time with it. Just know that once you beat this boss, without going into too much detail, once you do beat this boss, you are pretty much in the clear, except when we get a little towards the end. And after you do end up killing the boss, there will be a site of grace in about the middle of the arena, and you will see Blaze standing right by it. Essentially, after you beat the boss, there will be a cutscene where you see a comet or a meteor of sorts crashing into the ground. And essentially, after you see that cutscene, you talk to Blythe. He's going to ask you to meet him there so you can go explore where the comet crashed into the ground. And the next location we are going to want to go to is almost directly west of where we fought the boss earlier. We're going to come to the Fort Haight West site of grace, and we're going to want to head to the Mistwood Ruins right here. And I will actually just speed up the clip of me running down here. It took me kind of a while to figure out how to get exactly down here. But essentially, Blythe is going to ask you to meet him down here, but I didn't see him at all my entire time progressing through this area. So if you find him, that's great, but if not, just know that essentially you're just going to want to get to the end and pick up an item. But I just want to speed up this clip here of me running down, show you exactly how to get there. And now that we are here, we will automatically be dismounted. And essentially what you're going to want to do is make your way through this entire area and just make it to the end. And once you do make it to the Knight's Sacred Ground site of grace, it's pretty much a straight shot to get to this area. There will be a boss fight before this area. It's not a challenging fight at all. Nothing to spoil in the story. So it's essentially going to be a mimic of your character using the exact same weapon that you're using, any of your abilities as well. So like I said, it's not a challenging fight at all. I beat it first try without much challenge, but just want to throw out that there is another boss here. And essentially what you're going to want to do is run to the very end, and we are actually getting to the end of the area right here. And then there will be a blade in this chest. And what this blade is called is the Finger Slayer blade. So you're going to want to pick this up, and then we are done with this area. You can go ahead and take this teleporter here, or we can just fast travel out of here, whichever you would prefer. And after we do get the Finger Slayer blade from where we just were underground, we're going to want to go back to Ronnie's Rise here on the top left corner of the map. Essentially take the blade to Ronnie, and she's going to give you an item called the Carrion Inverted Statue. Now this actually doesn't have to do with this side quest, but I do want to point out where it is, as it has to do with Rogier's side quest if you've talked to him in Stormvale Castle. But essentially what you're going to want to do is come here to the study hall entrance, essentially use that item to flip this tower, the study hall, upside down, and then make your way up here, and you will actually get the curse mark that was on Ronnie's original flesh. So again, doesn't have to really do with this side quest, but I did just want to point it out. And after we give that Finger Slayer blade to Ronnie, we're actually going to need to go over to one of the other towers here, to Rena's Rise. And essentially, when you first get into the Three Sisters area, this tower is going to have kind of a gate or a door blocking it that you won't be able to go through. After turning in the Finger Slayer blade to Ronnie, then this door will actually be open, and then you will have access to the tower. If it's still showing there after you turn in this item to Ronnie, go ahead and rest at a site of grace or even restart your game. That way you can reset the world instance, and then when you get back in the game, you can come over here to the tower, and the door should be open. Essentially what you're going to want to do is head up the ladder that's inside of here, and there will be a teleporter at the very top, and you're going to want to take it into a brand new underground area. Now that we made it to the top, we can go ahead and travel to another location, and like I said, this will put us in a new underground area. And the next step for this quest, there will be an item on the ground directly in front of you, and it is going to be very important that you pick it up right away. So now we are in the Ansel River Main site of grace. And there will be an item right here on the ground that you will want to pick up. Essentially, it's going to be a doll version of Ronnie. And it's very important that you pick that up. What you're going to want to do is run over here to this side of grace and actually, discover it, touch it. And then there will be a new dialogue option down here that pretty much says talk to doll or talk to Ronnie, something along those lines. You'll have to exhaust that dialogue option about 3 or 4 times before she does respond. But essentially, once she does, you are continuing along the quest. And once you do make your way through that area, you're going to get to a city or an area that's called Noxtella. What you're going to want to do is actually, you can just ignore all these enemies. You can run down here to this little tower with an elevator in it, and you're going to want to take this elevator down. I just want to point this out because originally when I came here, I spent my time exploring when I literally could have just come here to this tower and proceeded on to the next area we need to go to for the quest. And once you do take the elevator down, you can go ahead, discover this site of grace. This will be the Noxtella Waterfall Basin, and this is where we will need to go for the next part of the quest. So what you're going to want to do is run through this area right here, and eventually you're going to get to an area where you will be invaded by a spirit or a ghost of Blaith, the wolf character that we've been kind of working with this entire time. What you're going to want to do is go ahead and fight him, and once you kill his shade or his ghost, whatever you want to call it, it's not too terrible of a fight. He attacks very slowly. Essentially, once you kill him, he is going to give you a key, and what that key is called is the Discarded Palace Key. And what you're going to want to do after you get that key is go ahead, go back to the normal part of the map, and you're going to want to come to the Rhea Lucaria Grand Library. So if you haven't cleared this dungeon yet, there's essentially a main story boss at the end of this that you will need to kill. It's actually a really cool area. A couple bosses in here that are really cool. But essentially, once we get to the Academy of Rhea Lucaria, that key that we got is actually going to open this chest that has kind of just been sitting here ever since we killed the boss. Once you open this chest, then you will get the item in it, and it is called the Dark Moon Ring, and we can go ahead and move on to the next step of the quest. So what you're going to want to do is make your way back to the Noxtella Waterfall Basin side of Grace. Continue along the same path you went where you fought the Ghost of Blaith. Once you get past him, there will be an elevator that will take you down to the Lake of Rot side of Grace. Now, don't let this area intimidate you. It's actually not that bad to get through. If you have about 10 flasks of Crimson Tears, you can actually make it through without needing to use any rot reduction items at all. So essentially what you want to do, if you see this area I'm looking at right here with kind of those big columns, you can actually just run directly to it while getting rot buildup. And essentially what I do is your health's going to go down slowly over time, but as you're running through, if you just go ahead and wait until you're at about, maybe a third of your health, you can actually just pop a flask and it will just heal you up. And essentially you can just run all the way there. So I'll go ahead and pop a flask here. And there we can see it's just regenerating my health until I get all the way through. And essentially what's going to happen is once you get here, there will be a site of grace that you can rest at, and it will go ahead and remove that rot from you as well. There won't be any enemies or anything like that that you have to deal with as long as you don't step on any of the buttons. There will be some kind of islands like that one right there that you can go to step on a button to create a platform. But essentially I just found it quicker just to run through here all while healing. So we can see here that I've used 3 flasks so far. I'll probably end up using 5 or 6 by the time I get to the site of grace, but I just wanted to show you that you can run through all the way here. So we're just going to make our way all the way to the site of grace, rest, remove the rot from us, and then we can continue along with the quest. And now that we have rested at the site of grace, this is the Grand Cloister location. So we can see it here on the map. Essentially what you're going to want to do is make your way down here, do a little bit of parkour off these ledges. And we will see a big kind of door/gateway area. We're actually not going to want to go there. We're going to want to go to the left. And what's actually going to happen is kind of like earlier, we can just run past these enemies. What's going to happen is there is going to be essentially a coffin of sorts that will be right on the ledge where the water, or I guess you could say the rot, ends. And what we're going to want to do is go ahead and get in that coffin, and it is going to teleport us to a new area. And essentially this is the only way to get to this area, and there will be a boss fight down here. So if you have any souls you need to spend, go ahead and do it now. But essentially we can see here, rest in the coffin, and we'll get a cutscene where it will then teleport us down into the new area. This will be one of the final steps of the quest. We are on the home stretch here. Essentially, once we do get out of the coffin in this area, as I said, there are no sites of grace here. And the only way to, fully to fully get down here will be to go back to that coffin. So we can see a stake of America here. And if you did need to heal, turn in, get your flask back, turn in any runes to level up, anything like that, I would do it before. Essentially, once you get here, there will be a boss fog at this door. And this will be the boss arena where you will fight Astel, Natural Born of the Void. Really cool boss fight. I enjoyed it. It almost reminded me of a Bloodborne boss, but really, really cool boss fight. Has a lot of AoE damages, a lot of cool animations, things like that. Essentially, you're going to want to kill him. This is one of the trophy bosses too if you're playing on PS5. But essentially, you're going to want to come through. You will get this Site of Grace. And if you hadn't gotten the ring yet from the library, there will be essentially an impassable wall here that you can't get through. So that's why I recommend you go get the ring first. You can do it either or, but you will want to go. I mean, it makes sense to go get the ring first. So that way, you won't have to go after you kill the boss to get it. But essentially, after you kill the boss, you're going to want to run through all the way to the end, and there will be an elevator. And this elevator is actually going to take you up to an area that it took me forever to figure out how to get to it. So if we do look at our map here, if you come down to this area right here, or this will actually take us to the top of this area where, to the Moonlight Altar, where I had been trying to get to because I'm an explorer. I had been trying to get to this area for a while and couldn't figure out how to get there. So this will actually take us up there, and we are towards the end of the quest now. And once we get to the top of the elevator, we will be at the Moonlight Altar. There will be a Site of Grace over here on the left. We can go ahead and mount up on Torrent. If you haven't killed or fought the Drake that is by the Three Sisters, he will go ahead and appear up here. I think even if you get him to half health, he just disappears and he ends up coming up here. But he will pretty much spawn right in front of the church. You can simply run past him, rest at the Site of Grace that is up here. And then once we do get to this Site of Grace, there will actually be a hole in the ground. And I probably should have brought a torch or something so you could see it better. But essentially, you're going to want to fall down in this hole. You can see fall on the near side. And then you'll want to fall on the far side here. So that way you don't kill yourself. But essentially, we're going to want to find the path down. And once we do, we are in the clear now. There's no more combat. We'll make our way down this tunnel cave area of sorts. And then we will get to an area where we can see the three fingers. And essentially, Ronnie will be sitting here. You will come up, speak with her. A cutscene will play where you place the finger on her ring and the body will disappear. And then another version of Ronnie will appear right where I'm standing, essentially telling you a dialogue, you're her champion, go forth and be the Elden Lord. And then right here in front of her is where the Moonlight Greatsword will spawn, or the Dark Moon Greatsword will spawn. And that is the end of the quest. So this was a really cool quest. I really enjoyed it. It was fun figuring out everything and, going through and getting this really iconic weapon. I love the way it looks in this game as well. It's definitely a unique take on it, a different take from all the other games, I would say. But yeah, that is the full walkthrough guide on how to get this weapon. Hope you guys found it helpful. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button for more Elden Ring videos. I am also streaming my entire playthrough over on twitch.tv/Brewski. So be sure to follow me over there. Come drop in the chat, say what's up. But yeah, anyways, guys, hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.